students will be charged a transaction fee when they pay for their tuition with a credit card.
We also covered the anti-abortion protests that were held on campus last week, as well as the counter-protests that were advocating for pro-choice. The Arts Undergraduate Society, or AUS, lost over $35,000 this year on Startup, which is their orientation event.
Let's take you through what that means. While the society is still in a surplus, they've made cuts to their student life portfolio, which includes stuff like social events and sports.
The council retreat, the executive retreat, as well as various networking events, advertising, and grants were not cut.
The AUS received substantial backlash for the cuts. The Ubyssey received a bunch of opinion letters about it, and they also had a significant turnout at their last council meeting.
The US has since apologized for the mistakes made. The US has also opened up a consultation period in order to hear student input about how they should move forward.
At the last AMS council meeting, an ad hoc committee was also formed in order to look into the AMS's relationship with the student societies.
We'll keep you updated about what comes out of this.
Welcome to science. It's been raining a lot, so this month in science we looked at why and why the rain can make you depressed. We also started a new column called On the Origin of Scientists that look at how scientists became who they are today. We also did a cover story on contraceptives on campus. What options do you have? Are they any good, and how much do they cost? Let's look at the pros and cons of just a few. First, let's talk about condoms. Condoms are really good because they're cheap, they're pretty easy to use, and you can get them anywhere. Condoms aren't perfect though, they're not the most effective and they can break, plus you have to put a new one on every time. Next, let's talk about birth control pills. Birth control pills are very easy to get on campus, they work pretty well, and they don't require too much work. Birth control pills aren't perfect either because they require you to take the pill every day, and some people do experience side effects including depression or an increased risk of blood clots. Next, let's talk about IUDs. IUDs are great because they're 99.9% effective. They're quite safe, and once they're in, you don't have to think about it. However, you do have to go to a doctor to get an IUD put in and taken out, which can be quite painful, and there are some complications that could happen. Let's talk about pulling out. Pulling out is easy and free, you don't need anything to do it. However, it's not the most effective. You have to trust your partner, and it doesn't protect against STIs. Remember, be safe.
Sports. Alright, so let's get into it. So women's hockey are on a roll right now. They're like literally the bombdiggity.com AF. They just won their 12th straight game against Mount Royal University this weekend, and like 3 of their players are leading in assists. One of their players is leading for points this season, and Kathleen Cahoon, one of their players, is also leading for goals. So they're doing fantastically well. You should check them out. Cassandra Vilgrain, we did a story on her. Her dad, Claude Vilgrain, played for the New Jersey Devils and also the Vancouver Canucks. She just continued his legacy, and you should check it out on our website. Stephanie Norlander did a story in our Words by Birds series about moving to Ubyssey as a transfer student from the University of Iowa, winning the 6th national championship for the field hockey team. So also check that out in our print and online.
Subject of regret, as absurd as well.
On the face of it, and no small blame.
For a wife. Beautiful stuff. Welcome to culture.
Yeah!
What a long quote. Jesus.
The sentences in this book are fucking massive. This week, the Vancouver Christmas Light Maze opened in Olympic Village. It's 55,000 square feet of Christmas lights, and unfortunately, it had been raining all day, so it was like wading through a swamp. MOA's Layers of Influence exhibit opened this week, featuring 136 polychromatic works of clothing from all over the world. Over the past few weeks, the food trucks have been updating their menus. Last week, the School of Fish debuted their new one, featuring one of the best salmon dishes that I've ever had. On November 22nd, as president, Santa Ono performed with a quartet in the Chan Center. And finally, we reviewed The Marriott Cell, the memoir by Mohammed Fahmy, who is a member of RJ School. It tells a tale of his imprisonment in Egypt during the Arab Spring.
Welcome to Opinions! November was an eventful month for the opinion section, as there's multiple letters submitted about the US election of Trump and the abortion protests on campus. Our coordinating editor, Jack Hauen, wrote an op-ed about what you can do after the U.S. election, which includes making your voice heard by running to your MP and supporting those who may not be feeling so hot after the election. We published a whopping 6 letters on the abortion protest. A common theme within the conversation was mostly about posters versus not posters instead of pro-life versus pro-choice. Thank you to everyone who submitted their letters and contributed to the intelligent conversation that was had on campus.
How's a man allowed to be that, like, fucking gorgeous?
He's got the bad boy look.
Did I